And we're back. Devin Zoolander here with my main man Rev, representing the Homestead Renaissance clothing brand. Make sure that you go and check that brand out.
Indeed.
Yeah. Now, when we last left off, you were telling me about Common. We kind of covered that where you didn't want to go to Philly. That was too easy. You wanted to make sure that you went all the way out to LA, which I'm sure was an experience that was more than just fruitful just because you met Common, but just to be in the city. So let's move away from the Common story and tell me just about what was your whole visit like in LA?
It was mad cool. I was only there for literally like, I want to say maybe 2 days, 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that's how it is when I go to most cities, because I'm only there to just hand off merchandise to an icon. And as soon as I do that, then I'm like, planning to leave out, but I was able to hit up a spot out in, I want to say that's Inglewood. It's called the Poetry Lounge.
Okay, the Poetry Lounge.
The Poetry Lounge.
The Poetry, like the baby.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, not exactly, but I just mean
it's not the, it's the.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, like the rapper, the baby.
Yeah.
I got you now.
It's called the Poetry Lounge, and I believe it's in Inglewood, and they have open mic every Tuesday, I believe. But I mean, since the pandemic, I don't know what they've been doing. I know they were actually doing Instagram live like open mics, but that's it's cool,
same.
but it's just especially like whenever it's like that type of setup, it's like you want to be there in person to be able to. But no, they're really dope out there. I love what they do, and a lot of artists go through there, so. But that was pretty much my entire experience, and then I checked out Shaquille's restaurant in Los Angeles. It was by the Staples Center, I want to say, or within that vicinity. So it was cool. I felt like I had to go there because there was a comedian by the name of Dion Cole from Blackish.
Yes.
He wore my shirt to Shaquille's grand opening.
Wow.
In Los Angeles. So I was like, yo, that's dope. I'm going there. You know what I mean? Because I want people to,
Yeah.
And I'm talking to one of the servers there, like she knew, like she looked at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, the Homestead Renaissance guy. Dion Cole wore my shirt here to the grand opening. They're like, okay. I was like, okay, well, just let me see a menu or something. Well, that's it though, man. But it was good to be out in LA.
And we're back. Devin Zoolander sitting here with Rev, the owner of the Homestead Renaissance. Now, the first place, the Poetry
Lounge.
The Poetry Lounge. Okay. Definitely got to check that place out because it kind of reminded me of the Lyricist Lounge a little bit. Remember that? That was like it was an album. I think it had something to do with like Talib and Most and Raucous Records, something like that. The Lyricist Lounge. I think they might even have a Biggie Smalls verse on there. It's an album, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, the Poetry Lounge. Definitely gotta check that out. That's a real cool story about Dion Cole and how he rocked your shirt to the grand open of Shaq's restaurant. So yeah, that's really cool, man. And what else happened out there? That was pretty much it for LA.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How was the weather?
It was great. I mean, it was a little hot, Yeah. A little hot. My Airbnb didn't have air conditioning, but I mean, it was all good. It's all a part of the experience, you know. And sometimes you gotta struggle a little bit, deal with some things that you might not prefer to.
Right. So let's do a quick rundown. Just give me some places that you've traveled to just to promote your brand.
Charlotte. Let's see, where else? West Palm Beach. Miami. LA.
Wow.
DC. And I think that's about it. Oh, no. Cleveland. Yeah, I went to Cleveland. But Cleveland's like That's
Yeah,
like
that don't really count.
that's like right across the street.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah,
I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Like honestly, we can get Uber trips that's longer than that. So
compared to L.A., Cleveland is right across the street.
Yes, absolutely. I'm surprised you didn't say Philly yet, but it's cool. We ain't hating.
I ain't been to Philly. No,
it seems like you should be though, because just the vibe when we're talking about like black people thrive in that community, that Afrocentricity, the neo soul kind of place. You know, Jill Scott, Music Soul Child, I believe Vivian Green, Kindred the Family. So it seems like your type of vibe.
Last time I was in Philly was 2007, and that was when I auditioned for American Idol. So that was like the last time I was in Philly.
I didn't know that, man.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool. All right, well, we don't have to stay on it too long, but you've anytime you spark something in an interview that I'm interested in, we got to talk about it. So I have to know, what was that experience for you like trying out for American Idol?
I'll say that it was definitely eye-opening, because what I had thought about American Idol was definitely not like what it was really to be. Like, so for instance, I thought that everybody gets to meet the judges. Like,
right.
You know
yeah. Like on TV.
Yeah. I didn't think everybody got like a TV, like kind of.
But
setup,
I mean, like you see on TV, like where you
like
go into audition.
They make it seem like for instance, they have the cameraman outside, like the first day of auditions, they scale through the crowd. And so it makes it seem like, oh, all these people out here when they see the judges. But then, I mean, you think about it, like common sense should tell you, like, yo, like there's way too many people. Them judges aren't sitting through, like there's at least 30,000 people that go to those auditions, maybe even more than that now.
Yeah.
But then when I went, because they where the Sixers play, well, then it was called the Wachovia Center.
Now it's at the Wells Fargo Center.
Wells Fargo, yeah. So it's called the Wachovia Center back then.
Yeah.
And at that time, I want to say it was the most auditions ever. I mean, I'm sure it's been beat now, but I think there was like at least 30,000 people there that were trying to get auditioned.
And how far did you get? Do you remember?
I didn't get far at all. Matter of fact, there's 3 rounds before you actually see the actual judges. Wow. I didn't even get through the first round. I was cool with it. I was like, oh, right. Cool. I was just there for the experience. I wasn't like, there were people like that were crying and falling out, like, you know, right. Because they didn't get through. I was just like, I'm here for the experience, and if I happen to do it again, I will, which I did in 2011. But it was back here in Pittsburgh.
How did that one go?
Same. I didn't get through the first round, but it was just like,
30,000 people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. And them judges aren't going to sit through. And that was back when it was Randy, Paula, and Simon. Mm-hmm. You know, 2011. I think the judges were left. Different. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure Randy was probably still there.
Might have been.
I think he lasted a long time. I don't know about Simon. I think Simon was kind of like the wild card. But yeah, I used to watch American Idol all the time. But then I think just after a while, I just started to lose interest.
Yeah. I mean, and then it's like too much, what's the word I'm looking for? Too much TV got, tied into it to where it seemed like it wasn't even natural anymore. It was just like for ratings, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a cool story, man. So, well, I'm learning you tried out for American Idol
twice.
And in 2007, how we got on this subject, because I was talking about you coming to Philly, and you told me about going to Philly during that experience. Mm-hmm. Well, now I think things would definitely be different, because obviously you would be coming back for different things.
Right.
But I think, though, with your brand, and just all the people that are in Philly, even some of the people that I've come across, and I know that I'm from there, but when you live in Pittsburgh for 12 years, you might as well not be from there anymore, because it's not the same. Like, I don't, like, even when I drive there, I don't even feel like a Philadelphian for real. I feel like someone that,
like a foreigner.
Yeah, that is a fan of Philadelphia without actually being a Philadelphia native. And I think a lot of that comes from just me growing up and not driving around Philly and doing a lot of like going out exploring type things. So a lot of that has happened in Pittsburgh. So that's why I feel like a foreigner. But I feel like when you do decide to make a trip back out to Philly, I think they'll welcome you with open arms because the city is full of a lot of good energy. I think, despite sometimes some negative headlines.
Yeah, I hope so. Shoot, I hope so.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be good. So man, this is really cool. Now we're getting into the content that is really going to leap off the page. Because I gotta tell you something here, man. You know, we first start out. It's my fault. Hey man, what does Homestead mean to you? Hard work. You know what I'm saying? The grind. We gotta get through. It's like, all right, I see what we got. We got this cool stuff right now. All right, so let me. I got to keep digging. So here's what we're going to do now, because we're doing good. We're going to keep the interview moving. Now, you've experienced a lot of highs and a lot of just, I think a lot of fulfillment from starting your own clothing line. However, there are also some challenges to being an entrepreneur. And if you will, I would like for you just to delve into what are some of the challenges that you faced in starting up your own clothing line.
That's a great question. Wow, that's pretty broad too. I mean, I can
Yeah.
start from anywhere. I think some of the challenges are just being consistent with it. Like the Homestead Renaissance was established officially like kind of like in 2017. Or at least the as a brand. But then with each year that I progressed, it was something else that was added on. Like I think in I want to say 2018, I had got an LLC for it. 2019 is when I launched a website. Yeah, 2019 I launched the website. But I mean, some of the challenges that are, like I said, is just being consistent with it. I remember even before I started the brand, I started trying to get into, coming up with graphic T-shirts in 2012. So since 2012 up till now, it was like off and on. And I would take these long breaks. Like, man, I'm not going to do it. And I would come back to it. So, so staying consistent is a challenge. But two, I would say trying to stay relevant and always being on it. Like, you and this goes back to consistency, but I realize that you gotta post, even though you might seem like you're overdoing it, because people can, you could get lost in the shuffle and people could forget about you easily, like there was times I didn't post in like, I'm gonna say maybe about 5 to 6 months, and it was like,
I thought you was gonna say weeks.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
About 5 to 6 months, I wouldn't post anything, and yeah, I would get a few messages here and there, like, "Hey, you're all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Like, but when it's just you, that's a challenge within itself because you don't have. It's not like you have a like a whole production team that's, like you got guys in the back printing out shirts and you got other people folding them. It's just you, and sometimes it could be mentally and physically just draining, especially when you have other responsibilities, like, when you have to work and you have to pay your own, and then sometimes like you have to weigh out like, okay, is this really for clout or is this for, I mean, so you got to weigh those things out. Like, is this really propelling me financially, like in my life? And if it's not, then when am I doing it? And I've struggled with that. I fought with that quite a few times, which is the reason why I took just this long break this time around. And I was like, man, I got to get back to it. I got to get back to it because, I mean, I created this and I love it. And I think what separates me from, and not to like,
right.
But I feel like what separates me and other brands is that this is specifically about a neighborhood. You know what I mean? And when I was starting out, I was kind of like competing with just like maybe other Pittsburgh brands, and I was doing like the Pittsburgh sports theme stuff. But I was like, why not, focus on Homestead? It's a beautiful place within itself, historically and culturally. So I was like, yeah, let me focus in on that, and let's just see, where I can take it.
So one of the things that I really appreciate about you is that you're such a historian, not just of hip hop culture, but of Black culture in general. And
that's a big title. I don't know if I could
I
carry that.
well, I'm gonna tell you that's how I see you. So I don't know what other people say, but that's the way I see you, because it goes back to when I used to follow you, and every time it would be a black icon's birthday, I would see a black and white photo of you. And I think you posting them and honoring them, and basically not just posting a picture saying happy birthday, but actually giving us some background biographical information about them. So it's like, oh yeah, well, Tracy Ellis Ross, you might recognize her from the show Blackish, but also that she's Diana Ross's daughter, someone who was on the show Girlfriends, and you'll give us all that backstory. And even though every single person, they might not read it, I think that people like myself appreciate it, because you're helping to keep the culture alive. And yes, your brand is the Homestead Renaissance, but while the Homestead part is obviously, I would say, the most important part of the name, the Renaissance part also means a lot. And when you're constantly showing us our history through those pictures, then you're showing us the Renaissance. You're showing us our past. You're showing us our present and our future. So,
well, real quick to touch on that. So that's how the brand actually all became about, because it was my personal page that was, which is now Rav's Neighborhood, but it was my personal page that I was posting all like that content, like the black icons.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was back in 2013 when I came back on Instagram. I was like, yo, I need a name that's gonna pop, like, and I was like, okay, I'm from Homestead. I was like, and one of my favorite hip hop albums all time is Q-Tip's The Renaissance. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just merged the two together. I was like, the Homestead Renaissance. I was like, okay, cool. I like that. And I was like, I'm going to post like, just content that I like. I didn't care if I didn't get the likes or whatever. It was like, it was about what I liked and what I wanted to put out. And I started looking into it more, and I'm like, yo, that's too dope of a name to just be, it needs to be more than just an Instagram page. So I kind of just flipped it, and I made the Homestead Renaissance into a brand. And what's my personal page now, Rav's Neighborhood, I left that up as just like my personal page.
Okay, now I need you to thank you very much for that information. Now I want to get deeper into your branding. Now, anyone that is familiar with Homestead and going across that bridge when you're going around where the waterfront is, we know what those like smoke towers or whatever are. And I notice I'm looking at your page right now, and I'm seeing like the logo and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about what is the symbolism or the significance of your logo. Like, what is it a depiction of, and why did that matter to you so much to put that in your logo?
Well, I mean, before all that, like, I really struggled with a logo for like 3-4 months. Like, I was just going through stuff and just, sending it to a good friend that I was working with for a little bit. And he was approving of everything. He was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm like, but it wasn't sitting. And then I had something like, I had the letters THR with a bridge inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, nah, that's not hitting. And then one day I was like, or one evening, I'm just like driving across the bridge, and I'm seeing the stacks, and I'm like, yo, like, this is Pittsburgh. Like, that represents the history and the culture of Pittsburgh. Steel workers, it represented
blue collar, like you said
blue
earlier.
Collar, and just not just the city, but it represented like America. Because I mean, the AMC has this. They had these series, The Men Who Built America, and Homestead was on there. Mm-hmm. So, the Homestead Steelworkers, and I was like, yo, this represents everything that America was built on. As far as like the steel industry. So anyway, so I see those, and I'm like, yo, that needs to be the logo. It's easily to identify.
Yeah.
And it's funny because somebody was like, yo, now every time I cross the bridge and I see those stacks, I think of you, man. I think of your logo. And I'm like, perfect. That's what I want people to think of.
Yeah. Homestead is a really cool place when I think about how every time you go across the bridge, whenever we lose a legend, like if it's Prince or Aretha Franklin, there's always going to be on that billboard
Yeah.
that something honoring them. And then when Prince died and they turned everything purple,
Yeah,
I was
underneath
like,
the bridge.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that is cool. Because every community, every city isn't really doing that. And the fact that you can have such a grand gesture to honor someone, but it's not the city of Pittsburgh, it's not the Steelers. This is Homestead. This is like
Yeah.
a completely, it's weird because it's Pittsburgh as far as affiliated with Pittsburgh, but it's its own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, Homestead is even like just like the layout. Like if you're coming across a bridge and you just like pay attention to like what's up the hill, it's like, what is this place? Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just me. I mean, I might be a little biased, but I just love the layout of it. And I mean, even the waterfront, that whole area used to be just steel mills.
When or I could ask you this or I could Google it, but since you're here and you're my resident Homestead expert, I'm gonna ask you, when did the waterfront become what we know it as today, the modern shopping place that attracts a lot of different people?
It was established 1999.
Oh, okay. So it's okay, that's a good while then. Okay.
And the first few places that were down there was Giant Eagle, McDonald's, Eaton Park, and Target, I believe. So those were like the first four.
And those are the ones that have stood the test of time that are still here.
Yeah, and I used to work at Eaton Park for a long time.
Okay.
So I mean, like when I say I'm Homestead through and through, like I'm that guy. Like,
got you. I don't doubt it, man. You talk about 9th Street. When you say that basketball court, I know exactly what you're talking about because I actually used to work at Propel Homestead, and the kids would have recess over there. And it's something about that court. I just remember somebody that was back when I guess kids were wearing like the Spitz like Jordans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they just kept talking about them, and there was like all this trash talking. It's just like one of those places that you think if someone wanted to shoot a movie about Pittsburgh or Homestead, that you got to go to 9th Street to that basketball court.
Oh, you got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, many games were played down there, especially because youth places had their games down there, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck Batch, I believe, had his games up on 16th, which is further up into Homestead.
And for those of you that don't know, Chuck Batch is also known as Charlie Batch. But see, you know him like that. That's why, and that's a Homestead guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him one time when I was flying and we were in the airport at the same time. But he's a really cool dude and someone that I'm glad was able to become a Steeler, represent your team, because he's someone that always gives back to the community. And I've been hearing about him for years, so that's good. Yeah. Well, yeah, man, I'm really proud of you with the brand. I'm proud of everything you're doing. I remember you had the one event at the coffee shop. What's the coffee shop that you had your one?
Still Valley Roasters.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I had quite a few events. I had the open mic, which you came to that one, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And 2019, I planned out like Homestead's very first like. I shut down like pretty much the whole 8th Avenue, and it was called what was it called?
It's hard.
What was it called? It should be up there.
Okay.
I don't know why. Oh, you know what? I had so many events. Like I had the art on 8th, which I had it was an art show that involved Q Perry.
Yes.
And Ashanti Josie. She's a painter as well.
Okay, I probably know her if I see her.
Oh, you know what? 412 Day. That's what it was. So I planned the 412 Day.
That's hard.
April 12th, 2019. And what I did was I went to like just some of the prominent businesses on 8th Avenue. I was like, hey, can we host something here on this day? So it's kind of like, it was like a music festival, a arts festival, like all in one. But it was like, that's never been done in Homestead, to where there was like live music being played on the avenue.
And also a marketplace for people to buy goods and clothing and stuff like that.
I mean, and not only that, but even a chance for, some of the artists in the city to get some exposure.
Yeah.
So it was a dope event, and yeah.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Like I definitely love that kind of energy. And just when I think about, like, I remember going to Studio AM before and Baron
Yeah,
Vetch.
that was back in the day. Yeah.
And now when I think about it, talk a little bit about Live Fresh and that opening up and what kind of energy that has brought to Homestead.
Live Fresh. So I went to high school with the owner, Brett.